Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth episode of Retro Horror Games Quest. Today we will dive into our second NES game in our horror game list, and it's none other than Friday the 13th. Yeah, another movie adaptation. Previously, we looked at an adaptation of Halloween for the Atari 2600, which was alright, and The Evil Dead on the Commodore 64, which I'd rather not talk about. It still brings me pain inside. It makes Robbie sad. So, with the hopes that I will not end this video disappointed, let's get chopping. Friday the 13th was released in 1989 for the NES and was developed by Atlus. Atlus, huh? Making a horror game adaptation. Weird. Times have changed, I guess. It was also their third game. It's pretty interesting. In this game, you pick between 6 camp counselors and you must defeat Jason 3 times in 3 days before he kills all the camp counselors or all the children to beat the game. Yeah, if you've never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies, that probably sounds weird, but the original movies usually featured some camp and the main characters were among its counselors. Of course, the camp wasn't fun. They had a brutal quasi-paranormal serial killer named Jason, well, for most of the time, ruining their fun. Aww. So in that sense, the game is quite faithful to the movie. It makes use of a lot of objects from the movies as well and integrates them with the mechanics quite well. And in other ways, it contains some genuinely bizarre decisions. But all in due time. You start by picking one of the 6 counselors. Let's be completely honest here, they all suck except 2 of them, Mark and Chrissy. The other ones can remain nameless for all I care. Why are they the best ones? Well, they all vary in movement and attack speed, and the other ones are just too slow in general. Mark has the fastest movement speed and above average attack speed, while Chrissy has above average movement speed and the fastest attack speed. At least I think Mark's attack speed and Chris's movement speed are above average. It's a little bit hard to tell. So, you pick your character and you go on your merry way to fight zombies? Yeah, zombies. Remember those in the movies? And the wolves? Yeah, me neither. It's really weird. I guess they just wanted you to have some kind of obstacle while traveling around the map. If they just threw Jason at you left and right, you would probably lessen his impact. So yeah, I'm okay with that actually. The game opens up with a message advising you to lit up all the fireplaces around the camp. There are 2 types of cabins in the camp, small and long. The small ones are usually spawn points for the camp counselors, while the long ones contain the fireplaces. To light the fireplaces though, you need to find a lighter first. No big deal. You start the game with a weapon, rocks. Just throw some rocks at 3 zombies and 1 lighter should spawn for you. So killing regular enemies grants you items, is what I thought for a while. And hey, that would actually make sense, you know? It would give you a reason to fight and not just jump around and evade them. Of course, that's not how this game rolls. After playing for an hour or 2, I finally realized that what makes items spawn is jumping. Because that makes sense. Now, don't even think about jumping around before getting the lighter. Yeah, nothing will spawn by jumping until you get the lighter. Again, bizarre. Well, truth be told, jumping seems to only grant you 4 items. The lighter, as mentioned earlier, to lit the fireplaces and to activate other items spawning from jumping around. Keys, which can be used to unlock certain cabin doors. Vitamins, which are used automatically to restore some HP if you run out of it. And knives, your first actual weapon upgrade. Knives are a must from early on. The rocks are okay and deal with the zombies with 3 hits, but it will not even put a dent on Jason. Not to mention that the rocks are thrown in an arc. It's weird. I guess rocks have gravity, but the rest of your arsenal doesn't. Physics! Anyway, the arc is actually not that annoying. If you crouch and throw the rocks, you will hit the zombies 100% of the time, unless they're too far away. Apart from the knives, you can get quite a variety of weapons in the game. A machete, an axe, a torch, and a pitchfork. The torch and the pitchfork being the best of the bunch. You can get all weapons by normal means, and by normal means I mean that I think you get them by exploring and killing regular enemies, but I'm not sure. Except for these last 2. You will get the torch by following the clues you can find scattered around the camp, and the pitchfork, well, it's kind of a secret, so I'll let you find out for yourself if you decide to play the game. The torch and the pitchfork seem to do the same amount of damage to Jason, but the pitchfork does a lot more damage to regular enemies. The torch, however, can also tear regular enemies a new one, but wolves seem to not really care about them. And wolves suck. Seriously, they move around a lot and are hard to hit. Get the pitchfork, and all your wolves' problems will fly away. The only other downside to the torch is that if you throw one and fail to hit an enemy, it will burn on the ground for a few seconds, and while it doesn't evaporate, you cannot throw a new one, which can screw you over very quickly. So hell yeah, I just got myself the torch, boys! Time to barbecue Jason, woo! Get over here, boy, I'ma set fire to your... What the hell? Did I just accidentally exchange my awesome torch for this crap knife by just jumping around? God damn it! Yeah, the jumping around to spawn items is a double-edged sword, or double-edged knife, whatever you want to call it. Exchanging an awesome weapon for the knife accidentally happened to me at least twice, and it was equally infuriating both times. Again, as I said, strange decisions. So, what are the controls like? Well, actually not bad. Well, while you're outside, that is. While you're moving around the exterior of the camp, the game plays like a side-scroller. You move left and right with the respective D-pad buttons, jump with the A button, and attack with the B button. You can also crouch by holding down on the D-pad, and enter cabins by pressing up on the D-pad. Up and down can also be used to move to other paths on the map. Inside the cabins, it's a whole other story. This game pulls a Dr. Chaos on us and changes the perspective on how the game plays. While in Dr. Chaos, which we took a look at in the second episode of this series, the game would turn into a first-person point-and-click adventure game when inside rooms, Friday the 13th turns into a pseudo-third-person exploration game. You can move in fake three-dimensional space, and I honestly felt a little bit disoriented the first few times that I found myself inside a cabin. But I quickly grew accustomed to it. There are no regular enemies inside cabins, but you can and probably will find Jason. And let me tell you, you will want to avoid fighting Jason inside cabins as much as possible. During the first day is manageable, but on days 2 and 3 it's another story. Especially 2. Yeah, it's weird. He's actually more dangerous in the second day. On the third day, he becomes faster and attacks twice in a row, all or most of the time, while on the second day, he seems to randomly switch from being slow and attacking once to being fast and attacking twice, which can be pretty deadly. So technically, it's like a random mixture of the first day and the third day. It's weird. When fighting Jason inside, he will move between the background and the foreground and left and right. He can attack you while in the foreground, and you can dodge left or right. Timing the dodges is real easy on the first day and not incredibly hard on the third day, but on the second day, due to the randomness of it all, it can be very tricky. When he starts retreating to the background, it's the perfect time to get a couple of shots in. Fighting Jason outside is much more manageable. When he spots you, the map will stop scrolling, confining you into a small space, and he will appear from the right side of the screen and start throwing axes at you. I found that the best strategy here is just to take the damage and attack him as fast as possible. He will eventually back off and you will have taken a considerable chunk of his health away. He will not allow himself to be killed in one fight though, even with the strongest weapon. He eventually runs away and you will have to hunt him down again. Or he will hunt you, depends on the perspective. It's not really hard to pinpoint where he is after you fight him once. He usually moves counterclockwise in the outer path of the map, and clockwise in the inner loops. You can literally walk in the same direction as him and ambush him multiple times in a row. He also enters every single cabin, so remember to check those on the way. Unless you want to avoid inside fights, as you should. Eventually, his HP will reach 0, and you will have beaten the first day. Just repeat the feat twice, with faster enemies, and you will have beaten the game. If you die, you have to select another counselor and start from scratch. Yeah, that means no items, no nothing, which, in my personal opinion, should count as a game over. At that point, it's just better to restart, unless you're very far into the game already and think you can pull off getting all the required items to fight Jason again with more dangers going around. If you're ready to take on Jay and are not sure where he's bumming about, fear not. After walking around for a bit, you will most likely start hearing a strange siren-like looping sound effect. This means Jason is either attacking the children or one of the other camp counselors. You can save them though. Open the map and check which of the cabins is blinking green. That's your objective. Get there before the children's or the counselor's HP reaches 0 and you will have saved them. But you will have to face Jason yourself. Inside. Of course, there are other secrets to find out. Without telling too much, you can actually find and fight Jason's mother, Pamela, and take her sweater, which grants you a damage reduction. A really cool reference to the movies. In terms of graphics, the game is actually pleasant to look at. It's a decent looking NES game. The map perspective and how it relates to the direction you are moving can be a bit frustrating at first, but you will quickly get used to it. The sound effects are nice and fitting as well. There are some strange decisions in terms of music though. To be fair, most of the music is decent to good and sometimes pretty good, but a lot of it seems to fight against the mood the game appears to be trying to go for. Inside cabins, the music is eerie and creepy, but in the paths of the camp outside, the music seems energetic and happy. It's just strange. So, there you have it. That's what Friday the 13th for the NES is all about. Is it a horror game though? Actually yes. There's a lot of creepy imagery and sprites there. Some music has a really nice eerie feeling to it. And then you have the always present danger of having to fight Jason while underpowered. It's not scary, but it's definitely a horror game. While there's not much to the game's main objective, the stuff that you can find on the side is a lot of fun and brings variety to the game. You can finish the game in like 20 minutes if you know what you're doing, so it's not incredibly long. The controls inside cabins are weird, and Jason's difficulty feels a little inconsistent and easy to manipulate if you force him to fight you outside. But it's otherwise a fun little game. I know there's a history of this game being hated in the past due to its obscurity, and I will admit to having checked a couple of guides to find some secrets. In fact, I actually think that might be a necessity to enjoy it fully. Some stuff you just never figure out, unless you just stumble upon it randomly after playing for many hours. And I don't have that time. I give Friday the 13th for the NES 2 out of 5 stars, with a survival horror fan required play score of maybe. While I am giving this the same score I gave Dr. Chaos, I actually enjoyed this a little bit more. I'd consider this more of a 2.5 stars, but since I don't have that format in the series, a 2 will do. Just keep in mind that sometimes the same score does not mean that I like both games equally. So next time on Retro Horror Games Quest, we will be taking a look at Uninvited, a point-and-click adventure game for the NES. Will the NES controls suffice for a point-and-click adventure game? We will find out. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click like and leave a comment. Those two actions really help with the YouTube algorithm, and it will help the channel grow and be exposed to more people who might enjoy these videos. And if you want to watch more Retro Horror Games Quest, you can click the link in the description below, which will lead you to a playlist with the previous episodes. And remember to click subscribe for the possibility of being notified when the next episode drops. If you really want to be notified when the next episode drops, remember to click the bell as well. And a huge thank you to my patrons, who give me the motivation to keep making this series even when I feel my free time escaping between my fingers. I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I'm enjoying making it. So thank you for being scared again with me tonight, and I hope to see you here for the next episode of Retro Horror Games Quest. Good night.